So, time for my third observation of the season. For those of you that have been following the channel, you know that we've had two observations so far. We had a 71.9 and a 72.4. We're averaging at the moment around 72.2-ish, 72.3-ish. Hopefully Nick might put it on screen to help us all out. And we need to average over 71.5 as a minimum across our four observations to have an opportunity to get promoted to a level 4 referee. As you guys remember, this observation was Tewkesbury Town versus Chalford, and we'll blur out the observer's name for obvious reasons. Section 1, application of law. 1.1, correct identification of match changing situations, along with correct and consistent application of law. Expected, no match changing situations to report. So this is right. There were no penalties, dogso, any kind of key match incident that was in the game, and so standard expected. 1.2, consistent and credible disciplinary sanctions meeting the needs of the game and player management whilst demonstrating effective cautioning techniques. 7.5, above standard expected. Two cautions, both correct in my view. 35th minute, away 6 for a reckless high foot in a tackle. Interesting. Okay, we'll come back to it. Similarly, in the 74th minute, away 4 recklessly caught the opponent with a high foot attempting a tackle. This pitch was dry, resulting in frequent high bounces for the ball, which made control difficult for the players. I felt that your tolerance level for these situations was well judged. For those of you that have watched the video, you'll know that I didn't actually give a yellow card for a reckless play for the away 6. I actually gave it for simulation. So this is really interesting, right? So I've never had this before. Usually after an observation, it will be confirmed why you gave the cautions you gave. From memory, in this observation, the observer just said that he agreed with both my cautions. So I said, great, good to hear, basically. And we didn't clarify what they were for. So it's really interesting. I don't really know what to make of it because he's marked me above standard expected. But if he believes that the tackle should have been reckless and I've gave it for simulation, then obviously that's a big discrepancy in what might potentially alter the mark. I don't know. Either way, at least he didn't think it was an offence the other way and it should have been a free kick to red. So yeah. Not really sure, but above standard expected, we'll move on. 1.3, demonstrates awareness of when appropriate to use a range of management techniques available before reporting to formal disciplinary action, i.e. step process. Standard expected, 7. 43rd minute, good use of bringing the away captain in while she gave a verbal warning to number 7 about off-the-ball comments towards you. Similarly, a warning to home 18 in the 91st minute in the presence of the captain. Good comments, but not enough to get a higher mark. It's a shame. 1.4, provides leadership to ensure that technical area and touchline occupants behave responsibly and in accordance with the laws of the game and competition rules. Standard expected. Again, there was no interactions with the benches at all. Okay, section 2, decision-making accuracy. 2.1, consistent and credible recognition of careless and reckless challenges, including simulation. 7.0 expected. 7 careless challenges were given for the home side and 6 for the away side. As noted above, bouncing ball control was difficult for the players and the game was keenly and generally fairly contested. These 13 decisions were justified in my view. Minor infringements were not seen. See paragraph 4.1 below. Okay, so the observer believes that I've correctly identified 13 careless challenges. However, he believes I've missed some, which will be highlighted in 4.1. So that's why we've got standard expected. 2.2, correct recognition and application of the advantage clause in accordance with laws of the game. For example, when the non-offending team have a clear and immediate attacking opportunity or a clear benefit over the offending team. This isn't written quite correctly, so I'm actually going to read it as it should be read. So the first was for the away side, as the player approached the halfway line and didn't afford a clear and immediate attacking opportunity. In the second half, an advantage to the home team was quickly followed by a long shot at goal 30 yards, which was rather hopeful in my view. Neither decision was strictly incorrect, but are examples where momentary delay and thinking time may have altered your decision to the player's greater advantage. So totally fair. I've given 2 advantages and neither of them are really clear advantages, especially at the level that we're refereeing at. 2.3, any other situation which has not been included in section 1.1 or 1.2 where law has been applied correctly and incorrectly. Standard expected. Right, we've actually got lucky here. In some sense, not that I truly believe in luck, but we've been fortunate, let's say. Because if you guys remember, I had a situation where a defender and attacker clashed heads, they received treatment and I allowed them to stay on the field of play. This is actually incorrect in law, but not something that's been picked up on in the observer report. Again, I'm not sure how much an observer would pick up on that, if they would even really care, as obviously both players were fine and wanted to stay on, almost like a common bit of common sense, but in law it's actually wrong. So we could have been marked down for that and we haven't. So we may have been a bit fortunate there. Section 3, match control, 3.1. Identifies and works with players, not necessarily the captains, should conflict arise. Managing player frustrations. 7.5, above standard expected. During play, you were close enough to frequently advise players to take care on potentially difficult challenges, which they generally acknowledged, allowing the game to flow freely. In the 10th minute, you gave a direct free kick against home 7, whose jump for the ball risked a head clash with the opponent. And you took this early opportunity to have a quiet word and set a standard for making such challenges. In the 33rd minute, you sensibly delayed giving the free kick against away 8 for barging his opponent, but the quick decision to give the foul was accepted by the players. 3.2. Displays empathy for the game, recognising potential threats and minimises misconduct through effective management. Adapts refereeing style and management to suit the game situation, things like temperature, player attitudes, match demands, etc. Standard expected. But there is a comment that says, good to see you remained close to the point of action when the goals were scored and players celebrating, so that your presence retained control of any unsporting reactions. 3.3. Effective management of misconduct should it occur, including mass confrontation. This includes using advice from other match officials where appropriate to ensure the correct disciplinary and restart. 7.0, standard expected. There was nothing really like this. 3.4. Management of player injury, players leaving the field of play, ensuring a safe and sensible return to the field of play, making sure they have no clear impact on active play. You twice brought a medic on for injured players. In the first half, when in fact A6 hurt himself at the reckless challenge, 1.2 above, and for a head clash in the 48th minute. Both correctly done, but I suggested that having handed the players over to their medics, you could use the downtime better to ensure you taking a viewing position where you scan all other players in case of any problems arising. 7.0, standard expected. Basically, yes, I've got this habit of when players are getting treated, I stay there whilst they're getting treated by the physio. I do this one so I can kind of chat to the player, check they're okay, try and build relationship. On the other hand, the observer's absolutely right. I can take that time to move away, get into position, make sure I'm looking at the rest of the pitch just in case something else is happening. Effective management of all restarts, particularly attacking free kicks and penalty kicks in accordance with laws of the game, standard expected. I did have a few attacking free kicks and I pulled back a goal kick for a moving ball, but again, I think you'd need some pretty extraordinary management of a restart to get marked up here. Section 4. Positioning, fitness and work rate. 4.1. Demonstrates high levels of work rate, appropriate running including sprinting, moves effectively to obtain optimum viewing angles, works physically hard for the duration of the game. 7.5, above standard expected. You maintained a high work rate and kept well up with play for the whole duration of the game, which was flowing throughout. In this, you were in good positions to give correct and credible decisions, including good starting positions for restarts and choosing optimum viewing positions for all set pieces in today's always crowded penalty areas. I suggested that you would benefit from going 10 to 15 yards deeper and wider towards the ball drop zone at goal kicks for the regular 9 to 5 aerial challenges. It was also evident to me that the home 10 forward was often inclined to jump with a little crafty nudge on his opponent on your blind side, which you may have anticipated / spotted by recognising the advantage of continuous slight adjustments in the angles you had in these challenges. Good to see that he thought I was working hard and around the pitch. I think he meant home 10 rather than away 10, but yes, he thought I should be higher up from goal kick, so I'm looking down. When they say 9 to 5, they mean like centre back and striker, okay, the number 5 and the number 9, nothing to do with Dolly Parton, all right? So I should be higher up, and yes, I would have a clearer angle on any nudges, any pushes in the back, things like that, especially in a game like this where there's a lot of calls for it. 4.2, achieves a credible distance from play without impacting play and without invading players' space. Demonstrates the ability to be within proximity of play, standard expected. 4.3 can demonstrate an awareness of those situations which may lead to a match-changing situation and move into a credible position. Again, 7.0 standard expected. There was one situation where I had a potential dogzo in the first half where I got into a relatively good position, but there was one late in the second half, I believe, where I wasn't quite in a great position, and so that's probably why it's leveled out. Section 5, communication and teamwork. 5.1, effective, clear and approved signals, use of voice and whistle, arm signals, etc. Standard expected. 5.2, develops and maintains approachable relationships, receptive to appropriate level of interaction with players and staff. Standard expected. 5.3, displays professionalism, self-control, calm but assertive body language that demonstrates authority and confidence but not arrogance. Standard expected, but there is a comment. You remain decisive, firm, calm and consistent throughout. There was a lot of regular, vague and in my view senseless noise / appeals from players and benches, more irritating than problematic. You did well not to react or be influenced by all of this. 5.4, works effectively with assistant referees, club/neutral, including eye contact, recognizing when to facilitate face-to-face dialogue, provide support when appropriate, standard expected. The 2 club ARs, not team subs, gave you reasonable support, which was good to see. They were great, the club ARs. It was a joy to work with 2 good club ARs. So before we dive into the final mark, how do I feel? Look, there's nothing bad on the report, is there? There's nothing bad, but there's a lot of standard expecteds, and if my assumption is correct, that's going to mean it's not a very high mark. So let's have a look. Section 1, application of law. We had a total score of 28.15, which has a weighting of 6 for a score of 17.1. Section 2, decision-making accuracy. We have a score of 21 with a weighting of 6 for a total of 12.6. Section 3, match control. We had a mark of 35.5 at a weighting of 5 for a score of 17.75. Section 4, positioning, fitness and work rate. We have a mark of 21.5 with a weighting of 5, which gives us an overall score of 10.75. Section 5, communication and teamwork, we have a score of 28 with a weighting of 4.5 for an overall score of 12.6. This brings a grand total to 70.8. That's rough. That is rough. 71.5 average is minimum to get promoted. With a 70.8, that will put us at an average of 71.7. So we're just above what we need. Disappointing is not the right word, because there's no major problems in this. There's just not a lot of great stuff. And to be fair, I wasn't great. I wasn't great in the game, right? I've given 2 advantages that weren't really advantages. I've not been in great positions from goal kicks. I've hung around the players too long when they're getting treatment. By no means was it a great performance in terms of refereeing, but again, there's nothing major in here that I need to work on. It's just, yeah, unfortunately, I've not done well enough to get some good marks, but it is what it is, right? That is football. That's what the Observer thought, and that's the mark that I've got. So no point dwelling. 71.7 average. On to the next one. We'll get a 73. We'll be well clear, and we'll be on our way to level 4. Thank you so much for the support. Glad you enjoyed the video. I'll see you guys next week.